Hello, hello, and welcome to Masters of Divinity. I'm your moderator, JP, and last night I had ramen noodles and tomato soup and called it spaghetti. Boom. And I'm also here with Father Chuck.
I had a bowl of rice and tofu.
And Matt.
Why did I come back for this? What is happening? I'm depressed. I'm alone. Your ramen noodles and spaghetti and your tofu and
Hey, Matt, why don't you you're in your little car. Why don't you drive to my house and we'll record while you make the drive, and then I'll go to my house and I'll make you a really good pour over cup of coffee with my new Hario V60 pour over system that I got for my birthday a few weeks ago.
oh my gosh, you have no idea how much I would actually love to do that right now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I'm currently
But
waiting.
this episode is brought to you by Hario Speedwagon. Is that what you called?
That was a dad joke, JP.
Oh my goodness.
I will tell you
got all
though,
kinds.
I will
We've got all
give you,
kinds
I will
on
give
this
you,
podcast.
I will give you one guess as to the country of origin of the Hario V60 coffee pour over device.
Germany.
Canada.
Estonia.
Are you for real?
Europe.
You're talking about me here.
A whole
I purchased
continent.
this.
Oh, Japan, right?
We all know where
Oh,
it's from.
Is it Okinawa?
No.
No. Is Okinawa in Japan, or is it like a sovereign? It's like a Taiwan situation.
Sort of, yeah, because it is part of Japan, but it has an outsized military presence, a U.S. military presence on the island.
Who
And so-
discovered Okinawa? Who?
the Japanese.
Japanese. They discovered it. What?
I mean, because I don't think I'm trying to think if there was like any particular indigenous people in Okinawa prior to the Japanese, the original Japanese who made their way from mainland China into. I think they went from mainland China, or did they come from the Korean Peninsula? I can't remember, but
Interesting. When did it officially become a part of Japan? Is it around
Probably
World War II? Is it?
no, prior to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, during Japanese imperial expansion.
I'm just trying to make Matt very angry.
Well, because we're trying to teach Matt about global history, East Asian history.
We miss you all, and we're so glad to be back here recording and making podcasts. Make a podcast, and we haven't done this in a while, in about a month, I want to say.
Yeah. What was the last episode? Was the one we did where we talked about JP dating.
Oh, geez. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh,
How's that
boy.
going?
I deleted all the apps.
Just gonna do it the old-fashioned way: grocery stores, churches, that thing.
I'm just. You know what? Yes, I am, because I think I just got really.
Hobby Lobby.
It became kind of. It's like, I don't know. It just kind of became less personal, and like I was just looking at items in a catalog.
Yeah.
And I think I was just like, I don't want to like base my judgment on something somebody wrote about themselves on the internet. I can't seem to really do it for myself. And also I wasn't getting any matches. So there's also that.
Yeah, I think you're probably onto something. I think it's noble for you to recognize that there is an objectification, a commodification of human emotions intrinsic to contemporary dating.
I think so. And plus I'm just really busy, and I'm doing other things, and I'm not worried about it anymore.
Right. You got your girl Mary Jane right now.
That is what's happening, and I do have a lot of cannabis that's growing and has taken up a lot of my time. But speaking of taking up time, before we kind of get into our topic, I'm actually just kind of curious. Have either of you been watching anything lately that's sort of stuck out to you that you want to talk about?
I saw Joker, but I don't want to talk about it because we side-railed a conversation and restarted the entire podcast because of me bringing that movie up once already. So
In true Joker
let's
fashion.
see. I watched Hobbs and Shaw again last night, the greatest movie of 2019.
Okay.
Um,
That's a bold statement. Yours
What
isn't
else?
over yet. Rise of Skywalker still has to come out.
I mean,
I-
Midsummer came out, so I don't know how that.
Okay, look, guys, these could be incredible movies, and they will probably live on in history, but Hobbs and Shaw's perfection. That franchise has mastered the art of making the lousy sequel exactly what I want to see by hiring actors who, the worse they get, the better the movie is, and the more I enjoy it. So,
I wonder if Martin Scorsese liked it. Do you think Martin Scorsese
Another
would think
topic.
Hobbs and Shaw is cinema?
Another topic we attempted to discuss and deemed unable to become a podcast, and yet these are what we're bringing up. We're just going to cause division and discord.
Well, I'm kind of I am going to bring it up, but I'm kind of folding it into our topic.
Yeah, you don't want to make it an entire episode because, let's be honest, who cares? Sorry.
I mean, I care a little, but it's because of me. But you liked Hobbs and Shaw. It was good. It was fun. It was what you'd probably expect from a Fast and the Furious joint.
Yeah, I mean, a movie about street racers who are stealing DVD, VHS combo players that are now superheroes who are invincible and save the world.
It was pretty funny. If you ever do watch Fast and the Furious ever again, pause it at the moment when they look into the truck of contraband, and it's just like it's just old stereos and what Matt was saying.
VHS DVD player combos.
Yeah.
And JP put me on to this little show called Unbelievable,
Oh, very good. Very good show.
and that was incredible.
Not for everybody, I don't think.
No, not at all. But yeah, no, I was trying to think. There's so many things I'm forgetting. I've watched.
You
so
watch a
much
lot of
in the
stuff.
last
You're very good.
month and a half that we.
You've become better than I have at just sort of like consuming media, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that like in a like a derogatory way, like Matt's a zombie
No,
and doesn't
like-
watch stuff, but like.
No. Speaking of which, but finish your statement.
But it just, I wish I could watch all of the movies all the time and listen to all the podcasts and all the TV shows. It's just too much out there, too much content, and I don't have enough time, and I don't have the bandwidth sometimes. There are times, guys, where I just like, I'll find myself alone in my room with nothing on but my phone, and I'm just like scrolling through Twitter for like, and I could do that for 2 hours. I could do that for 2
that's an
hours.
image.
Huh?
That's an image I didn't need in my head. Just JP alone in his room with nothing on but his phone.
That's not what I meant, like on as in the powered down. Jeez.
And you said zombies.
Yeah.
I saw Zombieland Double Tap last night.
Oh, is it good?
Oh yeah, it's good.
I really want to see that.
Love it.
I
I
was
rewatched the first one yesterday, and I went and saw the second one last night.
I've been iffy on it. Like I haven't watched it yet, but I was. It just seemed like it just seemed like 10 years too late. But you say it's good.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Oh, good. That's good.
And rewatched the first one and then go see it because I think it plays nicely that way.
Yeah.
Kind of just get your mind right back to the original one and then go see this one and kind of see the update.
Yeah.
And I won't give anything away or say too much, but I love the little tiny things they threw in to show that, like, if all these years have gone by, but it was their world, then all the stuff we know doesn't exist.
Huh.
So, like, a couple little things that they threw in there, kind of like these winking jokes about things like, hey, you know what would be a good idea? And it's something that we have all the time, but they never had it, sort of a thing.
That's
so,
fun.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I liked it.
Chuck, I'm asking
Yes.
you since you're an avid reader of Birth Movies Death. Did you happen to read the interview between Scott Wampler and Jesse Eisenberg and Ruben Fleischer from Zombieland?
I don't think I that was on my list and I didn't get to it.
It's actually really funny. It starts off with Scott bringing them a couple of White Claws.
Oh, that's funny.
He said, "I brought you boys some White Claws," and they have like no idea what it is.
Sponsored post.
This episode of Masters of Divinity is brought to you by White Claws. White Claws. There's no law when you drink a White Claw.
There's a meme making the rounds where it says that there's a girl says her dad thought that White Claw was just like LaCroix, and he drinks one. She found out for like a week he was drinking one on his way to work every single day.
Oh God. I've yet to try it. Have you guys tried White Claw yet?
No,
No,
because I'm not 22. I'm not a VSCO girl.
Not a VSCO girl. That's another thing I learned recently. VSCO girls. I think I could be a VSCO boy, you guys. I think I could pull that off. I do wear a T-shirt that is longer than my shorts sometimes, and I look. It's a VSCO boy.
I didn't even know that what this VSCO thing was.
Yeah.
I had no clue. But Heather teaches a class now, so she was told about VSCO and VSCO girls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny to me because I know of VSCO from years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, when Matt and I were part of a book group, like a church small group book group. One of the guys in the group, who's a wedding photographer, he was really into the VSCO Cam app, and he used it to edit all of his photos that he posted online. And so his all of his posts had VSCO Cam hashtags on like Instagram and things like that. And that's just how I learned about the term. And so when I found out that it then morphed into this meme, it's just kind of fascinating to me because I associate it with professional photographers. And
okay.
Now it's basically like a filter set for a particular type of photography.
I guess at one time we would call them basic.
Yeah.
It's very normcore, as I'm told by my friend of the podcast.
Yeah, but this is when my wife said something and said the word Facebook, and her whole class is like, oh.
Really?
What? And they're like, we don't have a Facebook, we don't have Facebook, we don't use Facebook. She's like, so what do you use? And they're like, we use Instagram and Snapchat and VSCO. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what is VSCO? And it's just basic. They're like, it's basically you post like better images and stuff, and there's no likes or anything and no follows. It's just so basically you're looking at Google Images. Like,
it's funny. That's so weird. It's like it's like Flickr.
Yeah.
Like Photo Bucket.
Yeah.
These kids are going backwards. We're gonna have chat rooms someday.
Yes. It is literally
AIM is coming back.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's going to be, hey guys, what kind of social media do you use? Well, we all sit down and we put down this big machine where you put these little images in it and click a thing, and it goes around and shines them up on the wall, and we can tell people about our trip. And it's so much more meaningful than like Facebook because you actually interact with each other.
And it's
PRGCTR.
It's projector. Like that's
projector.
Not the carousel.
I guess maybe it's SLDS. It slides.
Oh my goodness.
Nice. Okay, so Chuck, what have you been watching?
Really, not much. It's been a lot of the shows and stuff that I watch are not back yet. And I don't watch much TV. But let's see, like I haven't seen a movie in theaters since Matt and I. Was it Matt and I, or did I see it by myself? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I believe you saw that by yourself.
Oh, by yourself.
See, I don't remember. Sadly, it was just by myself. That I haven't seen a movie in theaters since that movie, which is great. It was like, I think that was the movie of 2019.
Ditto.
But I haven't talked. I don't think we've really talked in the podcast about how. Did we talk about how in the summer I was watching Neon Genesis Evangelion? And
we haven't talked about that. No, I mean I think we touched on it a little bit.
You talked about it in our message group.
Yeah, it is it is it's life changing. Like seriously.
Who's the guy that created it again? What's his name?
Oh, Hideko Anno.
That's right. And he also he made your Godzilla movie, right? Your
Yeah, he
Shin
made Shin
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Yeah, he made Shin Godzilla. So no, I mean, I would love to talk about Neon Genesis Evangelion because like it really is like it is mental. Like it really it does a number. I haven't watched the final 2 episodes of the show, which I understand are completely nuts.
Yeah, they are insane. That's how I watched. That's how I was introduced to Neon Genesis.
And then I need to watch the 2 movies as well. So it's
it's the 2 movies that I watched, not the last 2 episodes. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently the last 2 episodes of the show are very divisive among fans.
Oh yeah.
And a couple of my friends who are diehards are like, they're like, just skip those garbage episodes and watch the movies. I'm like, I kind of have to see the show now.
How about you let me live my life? Why don't you let me do that?
The problem is I was watching that. I watched most of it while Kana was out of town over the summer, and you know, Kana, as I've talked about on the show before, is very easily disturbed by things. And she watched like 1 episode, or she was like sitting on the couch working while I was watching 1 episode of Evangelion, and the look on her, it basically deals with like this one of the angels, which is these alien creatures, is like able to like draw out like someone's their psychological trauma.
Yeah.
And turns out this one character was like severely was kind of abused and really like horrifically traumatized as a small child. And like the angel like pulls that out and sort of like uses that as a weapon back against her. And Kano was like, I don't know that I can do this. I was recently on a long trans-Pacific flight, and I watched finally, JP, after many years, I watched High Fidelity.
Yes.
It happened to be streaming on American Airlines, and I was very pleased to watch that.
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, it's been floating around out there for years. It's something I knew I needed to see, and so I took the leap, and I watched High Fidelity.
One of my all-time favorite films, a character that... Do you ever empathize with a character in a movie, but like you really wish you could not empathize with them? Like you really wish you couldn't, because it's just kind of painful to see yourself presented. It's like, ooh, they found out who I am.
Yeah, and that's John Cusack's character in the movie.
Yeah, definitely, especially with his just sort of obsession with like, where did I go wrong with these women, and like kind of just totally missing the mark completely. That like he was kind of part of the problem for most of them. Especially when he like kind of first starts out, he's sort of oblivious that he's like hurting this woman while revisiting her, you know?
Yeah.
But also the sort of painfully snobby side of him when it comes to music and stuff.
It was kind of I had a similar feeling when I listened to Jewel's
Intuition.
It wasn't her. No, I'm trying to remember. It was her. It was in her first album.
Christina Aguilera.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. No, it was her first album. It was "You Were Meant for Me" and "I Was Meant for You." That song.
Yeah.
And no, not that song. Sorry, it was the other one. Anyway, it was one of her singles off of her first record, and listening to her describe the man that has left her was like, oh, that was me in my 20s.
Yeah.
And also similar when I listened to Adele's "Someone Like You," it was like I was listening to an ex-girlfriend talk about me, and it's like, oh, sorry.
Ouch.
Yeah, but I kind of had those elements too when I watched High Fidelity. And realized it's weird how I used to empathize with these people. Like I used to really like Ducky in Pretty in Pink.
Ugh.
And like going back now, I was like, oh God, what a toxic individual.
I hate Ducky.
Ugh.
Like I hate Ducky so much I don't even like that movie. Like I can't even watch the movie.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm glad you watched that. I love that movie. We should talk about that movie on this podcast someday.
That could be a good like right before Music Mayhem.
Yeah.
talk about because of how much it's rooted in music. And it kind of it was also interesting to watch it as late as I did, because it was at a time when people didn't know that Jack Black was like really a musician.
Yeah.
And so they used that fact to kind of surprise you that he's very good at what he does.
Right. Yeah.
So that joke kind of was like, oh, it could have been funnier if I had no idea that Jack Black could actually sing and perform.
Yeah, that was back when Jack Black was still kind of part of, mostly known as being part of like the Ben Stiller crew.
Right.
You know, they all hadn't completely branched out just yet.
Yeah, he had done like Shallow Hal.
Yeah,
I think.
He was like a very supporting role, the cable guy.
Right.
But yeah, I think High Fidelity is the one he did before he started like starring all of his own films and stuff. And
yeah, it definitely felt like sort of a breakout role for him in terms of
he's very funny.
Yeah, and then because he seems like it seems like the character he plays in High Fidelity is akin to the character he plays in like School of Rock.
Oh yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'm not going to get into everything I've been watching, but I'll just talk about the one thing I recently watched. I recently finished The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, I want to see that
on HBO, and hilarious. Probably one of the funniest things I've seen this year. But also, I'm just like a huge Danny McBride fan. I think he's actually like probably one of my favorite people in Hollywood that's working in Hollywood. And I will say to our audience, like, if you don't like the sort of Danny McBride humor, you're probably not going to like it. But the subject matter was just like too real, because it's all about you know, like a televangelist family, and them dealing with like blackmail and fame and lots of other family issues and stuff. Walton Goggins deserves like all of the Emmys for his performance as his character named Baby Billy.
Walton Goggins is a national treasure and is great in everything he does.
Everything. So yeah, he's great. He plays this character who's just like, oh god, he just nails it. He nails the Southern televangelist more than anybody else on that show, and it's just like he just disappears into the role, and it's crazy. He's insane. So I highly recommend it. Like, if you like the whole Danny McBride, like if you liked, I mean, I didn't really like the Kenny Powers thing, but I really loved the show Vice Principals on HBO. Those 2 seasons. It also had Danny McBride and Walton Goggins. But that's great. It was a great show. They had this at the beginning of the season. One of my favorite gags is they're like on this mission in China, and it opens with them like they're all trying to baptize everybody in this giant pool. And then it turns out it's actually like a wave pool at a theme park, and it comes on. And it's like this horrible like PR thing for them. I think they were baptizing everybody, these Chinese people, in a wave pool, and it accidentally came on. And personally, I think that would be awesome, but
So it makes me think about we just started Sunday school here at church a couple weeks ago, and I told Charlie, because Charlie's of age to be going to Sunday school, and so I said, you know, before I said, all right, Charlie, on Sunday, you know, you're going to be going to Sunday school now, and he's like, what Sunday school? I said, what, you know, it's school, you know, but you're learning about God and stuff, and he goes, oh, he's like, do they have games there? I said, well, yeah, they'll play some games and things like that, and then he goes, do they have laser tag there? And I said, no, I'm sorry, dude, they don't have laser tag. And he goes, it'd be a lot better if they did.
Yeah,
like I don't doubt that.
Nice.
And that is how the church has gone today too. You know, it would be better if we had laser tag. So they have laser tag. Yeah.
He loves.
No, I want to see that show, and it sounds more and more like there's reasons Chuck should sign up for that HBO after all, huh? Maybe?
Well, if it's gonna be on HBO, this podcast brought to you by HBO Max. If it's gonna be like on HBO Max, I'd be interested in that, because that's picking up a bunch of like Warner Brothers stuff too, right? Like movies and all of that.
Apparently.
So
that's probably gonna be worth it. I think that's gonna probably be worth it a lot.
Kane and I have to have a serious conversation about what we're paying for in terms of our streaming, because
Disney Plus.
We're gonna have. I mean, that's with children. That is like that's a necessity. Like, when your child is born, you should like get like a free year subscription.
Every child comes with a subscription for Disney Plus in the USA.
I just found out saw on their website, supposedly with Apple, if you buy a new iPhone, you get Apple TV Plus for a year.
Oh gosh, this is so bad, guys. There's just so many. Oh my gosh, we're going to be paying more for streaming than we ever paid for cable.
Well, only if you want to.
Yeah.
You have control over this.
Well, and that's what it is, JP, is what'll happen is all these streaming services will start costing so much that they'll have to reshape the entire way they think, which is to all come together and form one company that offers all these streaming services available at one cost. And to lower the cost, we'll add commercials to it. And what we just did is recreated cable companies.
And that company's name is Disney.
So or Disney will just take over and we'll just pay them everything.
Let's
all be Disney.
Listen, man, I just got back from Galaxy's Edge. Disney can run the world. I don't, I don't.
Oh, that's right. You went to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I don't care.
Bury the lead.
Well, I want to talk about Galaxy's Edge, but we need to get into the topic.
What if the topic's just this? I don't know.
You guys don't mind just riffing?
I saw the new Rambo too. By the way, we gotta add that.
Oh, jeez. How
important
was that?
things we saw.
Did you do that as a double feature at Joker? Please tell me you did.
It is.
Here's the thing. You know what? I read the Wikipedia article on the entire movie because I knew I wasn't going to be able to see it. And even just reading the Wikipedia article, I was like, what the hell?
The new Rambo movie is kind of like going over to your grandma's house for dinner and talking with her and cringing at everything she says because she doesn't quite realize that everything she's saying is racist. That's what the new Rambo movie was like. Just no, that's about it.
I think
bad.
The Rambo series is my favorite series of films with like the best naming conventions because they're so muddled and don't make any sense. The first one is First Blood. Okay, we're gonna go down the list. First one is First Blood. Just First Blood.
But that actually made sense.
Yeah.
Because they drew First Blood, so it's First Blood.
Second one.
So that made sense.
Second one is Rambo: First Blood 2.
No, it's not fine. No, First Blood.
It's okay. It's okay.
It'd make more sense if they went like the comedy way and did First Blood TOO.
This is the early 80s. This is the early 80s. Come on. This is the early 80s. We're still trying to figure out what sequels are and what they're supposed to do. Okay.
Yeah. On Legacy.
Third one is Rambo 3.
There's been no Rambo 1. Rambo 1 was technically First Blood 2.
First Blood 2.
First Blood 2.
Yeah. And then the fourth one, which came out many years later, and actually probably my favorite of the series, just Rambo. That's just Rambo.
That's Rambo 1 in a way. Like they finally made it.
That's the one that came out in 2008, where he transports a bunch of missionaries to Burma, and then like they get slaughtered by the government. And then
that is the joyful celebration of redemptive violence.
The church hires a group of mercenaries to go save them. And Rambo's the one that's transporting the mercenaries. And all the mercenaries die, and it's up to Rambo to save the missionaries. And it's great because the mercenaries are like very cliche. They're like, I'm an evil mercenary, and they're sending the devil to save God's children. Like that's. Have you seen this movie, Chuck?
No, I haven't. I wanted to because it came out right around the time that I had been to Thailand, and so I was kind of interested in it because it was sort of contemporary to where I had just been, and it was I remember reading about it in Relevant magazine. They'd done an interview with Stallone, and he'd become like an evangelical Christian, and so this is something he was like he read this book about the Cambodian missionaries or whatever, and like they're like what happens to them. And he was like, I read this and like I really felt like this is what Rambo should be doing or whatever.
He
and
became a PBA missions kid.
Yeah, they had that book that he was talking about. Like I'm reading Relevant on the plane to Thailand or whatever, and like I see the book he's talking about in a bookstore in Thailand. So it had clearly had an impact on John Rambo. And so John Rambo became a PBA missions kid.
Pretty much.
I just want to say that I'm very ashamed of JP daring to claim that Rambo movies would have cliche characters in them. Because the newest one took place mainly in Mexico, and there was nothing horribly racist or stereotypical or cliche about the characters that he wrote in Mexico.
Right.
So I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
What's the last one? Is it just Rambo Last Blood?
I think it's just Rambo 5, right?
No, it's Final Blood or Last Blood or
Hold on.
I'm Out of Blood or
Please tell me it's called Rambo also. That would be
Blood Transfusion.
that there's 3 movies in the series that are technically titled Rambo.
Okay, it's Rambo Last Blood. Yeah.
Okay. Which is a good title. Let's be honest. That's a good title.
It is good.
Rambo Dialysis. Rambo.
To the last drop. I loved Rambo as a kid. And here's the thing that gets me about the whole Rambo thing is the first movie is about a non-vet who is shell-shocked and has PTSD and he's homeless. And it's really about trying to gin up sympathy for these non-vets that the U.S. government doesn't care about, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the movie, right? It's a pacifistic kind of anti-war movie.
No, I wouldn't call it pacifistic. It's very violent.
Well, right, but
yeah, the message is that
is like war is horrible. Like that's the message.
He can't turn it off, and he has PTSD.
Yeah, and
he's being treated horribly by people.
And then the rest of the movies are just like, actually, he's just a killing machine, and we're gonna. And then by the third one, they use him to start the Taliban.
This episode is brought to you by the brave fighters, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan.
No. Guys, they do a deep, meaningful callback to his PTSD in the newest Rambo.
Oh, jeez.
He randomly does things like in dark rooms and hears noises that aren't there. So don't insult them. You guys don't know the depth that this movie went to.
Well, from what I understand,
I look forward to Rambo embalming fluid in 10 years.
The guy who wrote Rambo, the First Blood novel was supposed to be like
No. The guy who wrote Rambo was Sylvester Stallone.
Okay,
to the point where he tried to sue and make them change the book author to Sylvester Stallone.
Really? I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yes. He tried to have the author's name removed from the original book.
That's crazy.
Fantastic.
Well, the original First Blood novel is supposed to be it's supposed to be like the sort of counterculture generation versus like the earlier generation, like Vietnam vet versus the Korean War vet, and like Rambo was supposed to be like this like super radicalized sort of kind of leftist character, and the sheriff was supposed to be like this very reactionary character, and it was supposed to be like you root for both sides, kind of like there's like a gray area in there. You don't really know who like the good guy is. And then like the first movie is kind of that a little bit, not really. There's a little bit of a counterculture, like you said earlier, but then it just kind of devolves into like, well, Schwarzenegger is popular, so Stallone should be just shooting people.
Yeah, basically it was like, because like Rocky had become like this all-American like icon, and so the idea was sort of like, well, let's just give Rocky a gun and turn him loose in Afghanistan. I mean,
I guess Cobra wasn't successful enough to spawn sequels, so they had to do Rambo.
Yeah, it's funny when you said Cobra, and I was actually thinking of the terrorist organization that the GI Joes fight.
Oh no, I'm talking about the.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about the movie where he like cuts pizza with a scissor. Yeah.
Anywho, so could you imagine Rambo at Galaxy's Edge? Like maybe he doesn't really know what's going on.
Okay,
he's
right,
like killing stormtroopers. Like
here's a serious like way we can jump into maybe somewhat of what we were gonna talk about. So we had initially planned on talking about the truth, and I think the truth is we're just not gonna get to that topic. But here's the thing that I recently learned about Galaxy's Edge is that the way that Lucasfilm and Disney thinks about Galaxy's Edge is that when you're in Galaxy's Edge, you are actually on the planet of Batu.
Yeah.
And that everything that takes place in that planet takes place over the course of a single day that sort of repeats itself.
Huh.
or whatever. And the events of whatever happens in that planet is happening actually in the Star Wars universe. It is canonical, everything that happens. Yeah. So that means the Coke that I bought was a canonical action in the Star Wars universe. It means that when Ford steered the Millennium Falcon into a wall, that happened in the Star Wars universe. That is a canonical action.
You asking where the bathroom is. That was a refresher, as they call them. Hot tip for listeners out there. If you find yourselves at Galaxy's Edge, don't ask where the bathroom is. Ask where the refresher is.
And say, in its morning, bright suns.
Oh, okay.
Or no, was it rising suns, bright suns, and setting suns? Maybe I don't remember. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Did you have a lot of interaction with the cast members and stuff? Like, did you kind of?
Yeah, actually, I had a really interesting. It's weird because it's like on some level, it's like Colonials Williamsburg. Like they're like trying to like really sell that you're like in this, and so like they're but it's still so new that you can tell that they're not all there yet. Because for instance, when you buy something, like it's $8. No, it's 8 credits, and your receipt is not a receipt. It is a what is it? A shipping slip, or something like that. Like a cargo slip or something like that. But they, but like when I got breakfast at one of the restaurants, the cast member wanted to talk about, my boys, and talked about, because they were cute. And she was trying to talk to me about her nephew. And we were trying to make like the small talk conversation as I'm waiting for my food to come out. But she had to keep peppering in this Star Wars stuff. And so she was sort of like, oh yeah, my nephew who lives off planet. So when they refer to anything outside the park, they refer to it as off planet.
That's pretty funny.
And and I saw cast members talking to regular other people and being like, hey, can I come with you? I've been stuck on this planet for for days, and like I really have just, like I want to see the universe. Can I go with you to get off planet? And it's just it's kind of weird.
You're like,
on that level.
1,500 credits, please.
Right.
I'll do that.
But it is very immersive.
Yeah.
And you do feel like you're walking around in a Star Wars world a bit.
That's pretty cool.
And like while you're randomly, well, what's kind of funny to me is this is a weird thing I think about, because like so one of the things we saw while we were eating was Rey and a Resistance person were having a conversation, and stormtroopers were nearby, and so they started hiding from the stormtroopers, and they were like sitting down at random customers' tables and pretending they were just sort of like with them, and like hiding stormtroopers and like Kylo Ren as they walked around and stuff, and like, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me when the Holy Land experience first opened in Orlando, the Christian theme park.
Yeah.
They did the same thing where they would have like beggars hanging out at the restaurant, and the Roman soldiers would hassle them and like they'd say stuff to you. Yeah. So it's weird to think that the Holy Land experience pioneered something that Disney later did.
Yeah, but they just kept trying to hide the word in your heart at your table.
Oh,
yes, that's true.
But no, like,
you're not allowed to call my jokes corny or cheesy when we are talking about the Holy Land experience.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Come on, it's all appropriately fitting. Leave me alone.
Like the stormtroopers come by, and like if you're on your phone, they'll be like, "What are you doing with that data pad?" And they they'll say stuff to you, and like if you're wearing like a Resistance thing on your shirt, they'll give you grief. Kylo Ren says stuff.
I could see this going so horribly wrong on our family trip, because I know me, and I know my patience with people during certain scenarios, and theme parks don't always bring out the best in me, because the happiest place on earth is always 2 steps away from a screaming child in Disney. And when your child is a screaming child, it's like the most nerve-wracking experience ever. And I could just totally picture like my kid needing to go to the bathroom or something, and me asking like where the bathroom is, and they start this nonsense. You mean the refresher? And I'd be like, I mean, you better show me where it is before I have him pee on your feet.
I will say, they don't correct you.
Okay.
And I could see like What are you doing on that
Oh,
data pad?
so are they just like,
You
I
know,
have no idea what a bathroom
data
is.
pad?
Bye, sir. Like, is that?
Yeah, they don't correct you. They don't do the Colonial Williamsburg thing where they're like, what is that thing you have in your hand? Or they don't do that kind of thing. They kind of get the sense that you're speaking a alien language to them, but they sort of like, oh, that's like like I get it's not as annoying as you think it would be, Matt.
Yeah.
Though
see.
all the signage is in Galactic Basic. Arabesh, whatever. And when you walk in, they give you a little card with that. Also, if you want to, you can translate the signs. But they do give you like a guide, like a little map.
No, they totally need to incorporate in their My Disney Experience app. They just need to incorporate like the Google Translate option, where you can point your camera and it translates into English. They do.
Yeah, they
Got
have
it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Disney Parks,
cool.
the Disney Parks Play app. Is that what it's called? Play Disney. It's like an app that they developed so that for some of the rides have really long waits. They have games that you can play for the wait. Huh. Well, they leverage that really strongly for Galaxy's Edge, and it converts your phone into a Star Wars data pad. And there's like little mini games and stuff. This would be actually cool for your kids. There's like you can do things where you're sort of like working for the Resistance, and you're trying to find like they want you to locate a particular cargo item, and all over the park, all the various like cargo like containers have QR codes on them that are in a special shape that the data pad reads. And so you go through and you take photos, and it tells you what's inside each of those containers. And so then like if you find the thing you're looking for, it like notifies the Resistance that like this material is located, and they can like confiscate it or whatever. One thing that bothered me was one of the shops is a First Order shop, and it says, the description says, pledge your allegiance to the First Order and buy things. And like my kids wanted to go there. I'm like, we're not going there. I'm like, why not? It's like, because we're not going to pledge allegiance to the First Order. Just to look at Stormtrooper costumes for kids, which is very disturbing to me.
I don't know. I think I used to go back to our first episode, and you'll hear JP rant about that. But 100+ episodes later, I kind of realized that like there's no real ideology behind the First Order or the Empire. It's just like we're bad people and we want to do bad things. So I mean, it's not like you're pledging to like racism or genocide. Well, I guess there's some genocide.
There are no aliens in the First Order or in the Empire, JP. They're all humans, except for Grand Moff Tarkin. I mean, sorry, Admiral. What's his name? The blue guy.
Thrawn. Yeah.
Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thank you.
I don't know, but still, even then, that we could just say that's problematic.
I will say that Batu, because it's designed to be like on the edge of the galaxy, hence the name. Yeah. That it's not in the control of either the Resistance or the First Order. It has more of the criminal aspect of Disney, of Star Wars, the gangster criminal underbelly, shady things going on.
Cool.
So the more of the bounty hunter type element, which has been missing from Star Wars recently. I think you in your text-based role-playing days would have been very excited.
Don't bring that up. I mean, yeah, I would, but
listen, man. Listen, when you're parking the Millennium Falcon, Dash Rendar's ship is in there.
What? The Outrider?
The Outrider is in the hangar with
the
Millennium
YT 2400 Outrider. That's
cool.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience that, Chuck. I hope I can do that soon.
Well, the reason I brought this up is that whole notion of truth, right? Because we're not going to really talk about this anymore, I guess. But it's that weird thing of what makes something like true.
Okay.
Is anything really happening?
The perception of
Galaxy's
reality
Edge. Is it only happening within that fictional universe?
Matt?
Saying?
I don't even understand what we're talking about anymore. You lost me on some planet when you started talking about the ship and the other ship.
Okay, well, so
here's
the
this.
Outrider was a ship that
Oh no!
belonged to
Oh no!
Jazz
Oh no!
Rendar.
Oh no! I wasn't asking. I was just saying that's where you lost me.
So Shadows of the Empire was this phenomenal Star Wars game that was
I know the
canon for a while.
Game
For
game
Super
novel,
Nintendo.
action figure
Action
campaign.
figure.
It was a whole campaign without a movie. That's sort of the idea.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the Outrider
General,
was
was it? Shizor was the villain, right? Or
Prince
Shizor or Shizon?
Shizor.
This-
Xizor. Head of
See,
the Black Sun Crime Syndicate.
The mistake that you thought I want to know this information. I just get myself in trouble when I talk. That's what happens.
It takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's meant to fill in the gap of what's happening, of how they get to Jabba the Hutt's palace to rescue Han.
Yeah.
Got it. I don't know.
Dash Rendar was awesome.
He was Luke Skywalker's bodyguard. And the Outrider was sort of like a mini Millennium Falcon, which is why it was cool.
Why did Luke Skywalker need a bodyguard? He was a Jedi.
Well,
Start
he had a hit
on
him, you know.
I do my own podcast.
Oh, Matt has a new iPhone. He's trying to
I'll let
show
you guys
off his
know.
iPhone 11.
those
Look at
lights.
him
No,
yelling.
the truth is, we can edit that out because I honestly would not have picked it up if I remembered that because of you two, not because of anybody else.
Hey, look, I got a for my birthday. I got a new Apple Watch Series 3.
I'm actually mad at myself. I picked up my phone now.
I got a 10R.
Yeah, baby.
Anyway,
What is truth?
We're gonna
That's what Pontius Pilate said.
Just-
What is truth?
start my own podcast on the side. So,
well, okay. Well, I think truth is
subjective. There you go. We're done.
I think truth is movies like
Relative.
The Faculty and Scream and
Amen.
and Teaching Mrs. Tingle and Disturbing Behavior. I think the truth is that is real cinema.
Teaching Mrs. Tingle. That's a deep one there. I appreciate that reference.
Faculty.
I just watched, for no reason other than what else are you going to do when you're stuck at work for a 16-hour shift?
Yeah.
I clicked play on Boogeyman.
I didn't watch that. No.
Starring what's his face? I don't remember his name now. But the one from Teaching Mrs. Tingle. He's
Who?
also Seventh Heaven. He had his fame in Seventh Heaven.
I didn't watch
the
Seventh
guy-
Heaven. I didn't.
The guy who played Noah. No, the guy who played Noah in Seventh Heaven was your boy who played Cyclops, right?
James Marsden?
Didn't James Marsden get his start on Seventh Heaven? Are you thinking of the
He
dad
has a
on
Seventh Heaven face.
No, not any of those people. You're killing me here.
Oh, no.
Barry
James Marsden
Watson.
was on Second Noah.
Barry Watson.
Barry Watson.
Yes.
I don't know.
He played Matt Camden.
Right, Matt Camden. Yes, yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, I confused him
Okay.
with Cyclops. Yeah.
And he was
Second
in
Note.
Boogeyman, and he was, sorry if you're listening, sir, but he was awful, and the movie was awful. Not good. But yeah, no. But anyways,
I don't know.
Teaching
well,
Tingle.
yeah. To me, that is that is cinema.
So you would remember him as this, then, JP. There he is.
Okay, yeah. That's the
That's
old
Teaching
school.
Mrs. Tingle, Barry Watson.
It was originally called Killing Mrs. Tingle. but
Killing
the-
Mrs. Tingle, but too violent.
I realize like our audience has no idea at all what is going on in this podcast. This is
It's all right. Neither do we.
so we
I'm
were
having so
we,
much fun though. It's so.
we
good.
are, yes. Well, we were going to talk about truth, and then we got really sidelined, as I mentioned already. But JP had also wanted to talk about Martin Scorsese's feelings on what constitutes true cinema, and we thought that could be blended into talking about truth. And instead, we've talked
Talk
about
about none of those things.
but maybe all of that is truth. I don't know.
Perhaps. I mean, I think teaching Mrs. Tingle is cinema. That is truth. I think that is truth. It's my truth.
I can't ever
truth.
tell.
Yeah, it's a problematic phrase.
There's another thing about JP that really, what really grinds my gears.
Oh,
I can never tell
how do I piss
which
you off,
side
Matt?
of the
Please.
argument. I can never tell which side of the argument JP is actually standing up for, because his level of sarcasm sometimes is so perfectly mastered that I don't know if he stands for all movies being considered cinema, or if he stands for the high art ones being cinema and these are trash. I can't tell what he actually thinks. Just like I still don't know if he was it Chili's?
Chili's.
Yeah, I like Chili's.
I love Chili's.
I still to this day don't know if
Matt.
he likes the restaurant Chili's.
Matt.
And I seriously
Matthew.
have almost, I'm not listening to you right now. I love Chili's. I've almost beat him when he's visited a few times because of this. And I'm like, JP, just tell me whether or not you like Chili's. Oh, I love Chili's. I'm like, I hate you. Just tell me if you like it or not. And I still don't know. This is about 7 years, 8 years. I still don't know if he likes the restaurant Chili's.
Well, I could clear it up right now. I
love Chili's.
Oh, I love Chili's.
Yeah. Shut your face and tell me what you think about cinema quickly, because I'm hanging up on you because I'm done with your face.
I love Marvel.
Oh no.
I don't know, man. I just feel like it's.
You can get like 2 margaritas for like $5. What isn't there to love?
Yeah, but that's all you can drink.
Or the queso.
They cut you off. I don't know about that. I mean, it's not enough to hate them, so I don't know if that, I love them. I love them. That's a good restaurant.
Start up. What do you think about cinema?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I just wanted to say this.
Moving images that tell a story, that's cinema. Whatever. If there's moving images that tell a story, it's cinema. That's your answer.
That's not. I don't.
Is this cinema?
Yes, it is.
Cinema?
This is cinema.
No, it's not.
It's television cinema?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No.
How is it not?
It's not. It's not. They're very they're.
Cinema is cinema. You go to a theater to watch cinema. To me, that's just about. But I'm gonna say, to me, that's just about the only criteria for it.
Well,
that it plays in theaters.
So streaming Netflix movies are not cinema.
It is made. Well, no, because but the way the world works now is different. It's hard to explain streaming. I don't want to talk about streaming yet. That's a different topic. But my point is, cinema was something that was made for the grand scale on the big screen, the level of effects, the level of sound. See, we have that in our living room now. That's why I said streaming is a different discussion. But cinema was created for the big screen, the big, the effects, the budgets, the sound quality, the camera styles. It's where new things were tried out.
When it first came out, during the silent film era, it was seen as sort of low art.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, gimmicky.
But I'm just saying, cinema to me, cinema is what was created for the purpose of the movies. Like you would say, I'm going to the movies. This is the movies. And to me, streaming does fit into that in a weird way because it's just a different way the world works. But television was television. Cinema was cinema. Like the movies and TV were two very different. The silver screen and they were two totally different things. Yeah. In today's world, they blend so much that it's hard to tell. Well, but I would still argue, Chuck, I would still argue streaming is not cinema, but I would argue that some of it is done at the quality and level of legitimate cinema, and therefore can be discussed and viewed on that level. But it was created for the smaller screen, they release it.
We're just there are just from an artistic level different goals between, if we're talking about distinction between television and cinema. There's a different sort of approach to creating television than there is cinema. There's a different, I don't know, the way, writers are in charge in television, and cinema directors are in charge. Well, at least that's sort of the ideal way of kind of viewing it, because producers can be in charge, corporations and studios can be in charge.
Like the role of producers different from television to the movies. Like the producer's a lot more hands-on, influential in a television.
Dan Harmon talks about it too. He's like, for TV, it's like you're making something somebody can have on while they're folding laundry. Cinema is a very different kind of thing. It's a bit more engaging, I guess. But
I mean, but you're equating all like there can be good cinema and bad cinema.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's not the discussion.
Good cinema, The Faculty. Bad cinema, I don't know. Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
It's all cinema. I think it's all cinema. Like, it could be good cinema, it could be bad cinema. It's all cinema.
Probably,
no,
but
you can't just say that good cinema is only cinema.
Probably, but
by the way, the more I say the word cinema, the weirder I feel.
I hate that word. The more you say it, the more I hate it.
Well, I feel like there's a certain intention behind Martin Scorsese's words, and there's a certain, I think, personal goal he has. He's trying to preserve a certain type of cinema that is, frankly, a little bit in danger of going away. And it's the kind Well,
I think where he got himself in trouble is he should have stuck with talking in terms of like classic cinema and talked about, or the whatever age of cinema. Like, don't try and make a statement that cuts out half of or 90% of the stuff that's out now as even being cinema.
Well, I think he was just trying to come up with a distinction, and I don't think he saw his words as trying to be inflammatory. Like, I don't think he sees, because he tries to say it many times. He's like, I'm not saying any of this is bad. I'm just saying it's not what was always used to be perceived as cinema, which is a more artistic driven medium. To where, I mean, Marvel and Disney, it is mostly market driven. It is mostly, artistically dictated by people other than the people who are collaborating on the movie, the director and the writer. And he's just trying to make that distinction. He's trying to say, that the Citizen Kanes and even like the first Reforms from like last year, like there are still movies coming out that he would probably consider to be cinema other than Marvel. But he's saying there's a certain type of cinema that's going away and needs to be preserved because there is a sort of purity to that artistic vision of cinema.
Yeah, but the other thing
I think that's all a myth and hogwash.
Exactly. I was going to say the other thing is I don't agree that that's going away in any way, shape, or form. And the movies that you mentioned are partial proof of that. The other thing is now, and I know there's a whole argument about Chuck brought up streaming, but now there's so many outlets for incredible movies to be made that I think we're at a point where there's even more great art being made, and people, it's out there. It's just as easy to find or as hard to find as it used to be. I didn't see the deep big stuff before either.
I can understand if we're talking about if at some point in Hollywood's past, if there was, I feel like when people make these arguments about that there was this certain type of film art, something that existed in this pure state, that's a myth. It's an absolute myth. Cecil B. DeMille was making blockbuster, over-the-top things that don't hit the kind of stuff that Scorsese is trying to get at. There have been movies like The Badlands, and there are movies, there are movies out there that are smaller scale that tell these very deep and important emotional stories. But there's also been bombast and spectacle, and the first movies were spectacle, right? I mean, the first, isn't it like sort of the understood that the first movie was the movie where the train comes at you?
Well, I mean, it was one of them, yeah.
And that was a gimmick.
Yeah. Well, that's
right?
what I was saying. That's early cinema. It was kind of seen as gimmicky and low art.
Well, right,
but the point is that it evolved. Like it evolved into from.
Right, and it will continue to evolve. It never freezes.
Yeah.
Evolution is constant. And so to sit there and say like, oh, this new thing as it's evolving now, where this, we're talking about movies that are sort of linked together to 25 movies to tell a one big story, but they're all connected by this different, this pre-visualization group, and this producer runs, and it's just a different approach to it.
But,
it still tells a story.
If you want me to start adjusting my glasses and get go to the well, actually fall down the well. I'm not gonna. That's a bad bit. Just saying, like that's. In a way, I think people kind of see that as a regression, not as an evolution, because when cinema was evolving in sort of the mid 20th century, it was evolving away from how studios mandated their films be made and said they had a more singular voice, which not everyone agreed with. There are plenty of critics who are against sort of the auteur theory and stuff, but it did bring it to a point where it's like, oh, so like cinema can be something that's not dictated by money or market or these things. It can be dictated by a person with just a vision, and they're the director can have that vision to be the author of the film. Marvel. I think people see Marvel as sort of a regression from that, from taking that power away from the director and giving it back to the studios.
Yeah, probably. But
but also I want to state people were saying the same thing I was seeing with Spielberg in the '80s. So
right.
Who Martin Scorsese is like best friends with.
And I think that this argument, this argument that people like Scorsese and others bring, it tends. I mean, for Scorsese, shocker, when he talks about the kind of movie that he thinks represents like the proper form of cinema or whatever. Again, I know it's an off the cuff comment, so it's kind of stupid to delve into it too deep. But of course, it's like movies that he made in the 1970s when he was a rebel and trying to shake up a system. Oh my gosh, a boomer thinks that their generation and the thing they accomplished is like the end all be all of culture. You know what I mean? Like it's
I don't think that's the correct way to peg Martin Scorsese, but okay.
But I mean, there's an element of that, right? That like everyone thinks that especially when they are a mover and shaker and a disruptor, they think that their generation and their vision for it was the best one. Like we will be guilty of the same thing when we are Scorsese's age. We are going to complain about whatever the kids are into. We already are.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, you're right about that. I'm not trying to argue against that idea. I think there's definitely truth to that. I think you're right, but I just don't think that is necessarily what Martin Scorsese is necessarily doing.
But when I hear those arguments, there's this assumption as though that like that these folks are entitled to make the thing they want to make, and there's no it's entertainment. Ultimately, it's entertainment, and entertainment is something that is like it's not necessary.
I think it's extremely necessary.
Entertainment as a category, but I'm saying entertainment as a category is necessary. Like we need to entertain ourselves, but there's no particular there's no movie ever needs to be made.
I don't understand that. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand it. I don't really understand that argument. Like, okay, no movie needs to be made, so it's okay that these movies are going away. Like, is that?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's if the story needs to be if you as the creator feel that the story needs to be told and it needs to be told in a particular medium, then I feel like you're gonna find a way to make that story get told.
Okay.
Right, like there's like okay, so maybe it doesn't play in 10,000 screens, but you have a 4K camera in your pocket. You can read books on how to frame and how to edit. You can make the movie. Oh. There's really nothing stopping you from making the movie. Oh. It might not be fully to the vision you want to make it, but you can make it.
Yes and no. I don't think Taxi Driver would have been Taxi Driver without Robert De Niro. but
Well, maybe, but I mean, I get the point too that it is kind of frustrating that the money is only going to these massive, these movies that are treated like a massive product. I mean, equivalent to like music, right? If the only music that was being made was, well, I mean, we have pop music, right? And pop, I mean, I guess there's a fair comparison to be made here, but I also think that pop music right now is doing interesting things and developing a bit more artistic merit than it has in the past. And I also think that pop cinema is also doing the same thing. But the difference is that you can still find music that, like, if I get a band together and I want to record whatever weirdo music I want to record, like I can stick it on Spotify or something, right? And it's, in terms of its quality, it's still like it's going to be the same pretty much, right? I mean, it's really, it's really not that different for me to get like Keelan together and record a piece of music in like a bedroom than if we were to like rent out like a huge studio. Like maybe it would sound a little more, some of the recording sound might sound better, but the fundamental like music on paper, right? It's primarily, it's not that different. Yeah. But like I can find different genres and things like that. It would be, it's like it's like Apple, which is, the number one streaming, like music streaming, for digital downloads or whatever. Like Apple only had Britney Spears. Right? Like that, and that's the issue that we're dealing with the cinema, right? Is that, like, yeah, you could make this movie, but if you want to go see like a small character study movie, it's getting harder and harder to do that because the cinema, the distribution mechanism is only showing one type of movie instead of.
So bottom line, Joker, is it cinema? Go see it.
I think Martin Scorsese was attached to that movie at some point, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
In their earlier stages. That's funny. All right. Well, Matt, do you have to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go
too.
All right. Well, okay. So let's end it with that. Watch the Kevin Williamson filmography. If you want to answer to the cinema question.
Watch this podcast and see Mommy and Daddy fight for the last 20 minutes while I sat here.
That filmography is Scream 2, Scream 3, I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, Teaching Mrs. Tingle. I think that's Scream 4.
Wait, what was this? What is this filmography that you're doing?
Kevin Williamson, the guy who wrote Scream and Dawson's Creek. Watch Dawson's Creek.
Wait, he wrote Dawson's Creek and those movies?
Yeah. He was the showrunner on Dawson's Creek. He created Dawson. You didn't know that?
Oh, no. That makes so
you didn't
much
realize
sense now. My brain...
Kevin Williamson was like the king of 90s teens. Like,
yeah, he just realized that Kevin Williamson was like the Disney of the 90s.
Yeah.
No,
like
I just realized... No,
he ran the world and everything belonged to him.
No, it just always kind of made sense to me why a lot of those things felt thematically similar.
Why they all
why had the same
seemed
actors.
like...
And they all had the same kind of dialogue.
Seemed like the CW.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the WB.
Was he
responsible?
responsible?
It was the WB then.
He wasn't responsible for like... Because it's sort of like when my mind was blown when I realized that J.J. Abrams was responsible for both Alias and Felicity, because I used to joke that Alias was Felicity with guns. And I realized that's actually accurate because same guy wrote both of them.
I think the only thing he wasn't responsible for was Buffy.
Wow.
Yeah. Just blew your mind, didn't I? Check him out,
You
Kevin
did.
Williamson. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching and for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Like us on Facebook. Like us on follow us on Instagram.
And like
We
us
are
in
still
real life.
there.
Like us in real life, please. I'm going to try out my VSCO boy outfit.
You just fought with each other for an hour. I don't even like you in real life.
We didn't
Just
fight.
love, man.
We didn't fight.
Right. I don't think we fought.
We were talking. We were just talking.
Passioned and impassioned.
Debating. Discussing.
You got me talking
negative...
about cinema. How am I supposed to approach it?
And I have no negative feelings toward JP, but I'm just glad that you didn't do like a random top 5 list like from High Fidelity.
Okay, top 5 Kevin Williamson movies. Number 5, Teaching Mrs. Tingle. Number 4, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Number 3, Scream 2. Number 2, Scream. Number 1, The Faculty. Wait, did I already say The Faculty?
Wait, did you?
Faculty is number 1. That's fantastic.
Wait, what?
I have such a I will say I have a soft spot in my heart for The Faculty because I love sci-fi, and I love that they took like the slasher film thing and they made a sci-fi horror film version of that, basically. I know, like Body Snatchers.
Because
I love it.
Listen to me.
I just remember the character Stokely. I'm like, wow, Stokely is so much cooler than Randy.
Listen.
Good night, everybody.
Wait,
now I don't know if he likes Chili's. I don't know if he thinks The Faculty is better than Scream. I have to go. I have to leave.
All right.
Yeah, your truth episode has made me question everything I thought to be real.
Beautiful.
I'm out.
Slavier C-Sex, interrogation of the real. This episode brought to you by...
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Start your own damn podcast.
Yes,
all right.
Like, subscribe, make us famous so I can afford the therapy I need from talking to these two. So
thank you for joining us. Join us again next time. Good journey.
Good journey and namaste.
Good journey.